You finally did it, the dream bike. Whether it is a Harley-Davidson Lowrider ST, a Ducati Panigale, or a Yamaha MT-09, whatever you have had your eyes on for months, you know the MSRP, you've saved up your money, you're ready. But then you sit down with the dealer and the price has absolutely exploded. $3,000, sometimes $5,000 more than expected. Why? Today I'm going to expose one of the most frustrating and legal practices in the motorcycle industry: dealer markups. This isn't just a rant, it's a breakdown. We're going to look at what markups actually are, how they became normal, where that money really goes, what laws exist around them, and most importantly, how you can beat the system. If you have ever walked into a dealership and felt like you were being taken for a ride before you even started the bike, this video is for you. Okay guys, well let's start with definitions because this space is full of tricky language. First, we're going to start with MSRP, the manufacturer suggested retail price. That's the number that you're usually going to see advertised. It's what the manufacturer recommends the dealer actually sells the bike for. But look, here's the trick. This is not binding. It is a suggestion. It's not actually a rule. So dealers are legally allowed to charge more than MSRP, and many of them do. So what they don't always advertise is that there are add-ons, the line items that are buried in your final quote that inflate the price. Here are the most common ones. ADM, or known as additional dealer markup. This is the big one, guys. This is pure markup, no justification, no product tied to it. It's just an extra $500, $2,000, or in some cases, $5,000 that are just to increase the dealership profit. Okay, guys, so we're going to talk about how we actually got here. So rewinding before 2020, the motorcycle industry was relatively predictable. Dealers were competitive, especially for Japanese bikes. Yamaha, Kawasaki, Honda, most of them stayed close to MSRP and only were charging like modest document or freight fees. Harley-Davidson, Indian, Ducati, they sometimes had dealer markups, but certainly not across the board. Then COVID hit. So let's talk about what this actually did to the industry. First off, we're going to talk about the supply chain collapse. So global logistics went off an absolute cliff in 2020. You see factory shutdowns in Thailand, India, Italy, container shortages, port delays, semiconductor droughts, you name it. Polaris, the parent company of Indian Motorcycles, reported historic lows in dealer inventory, and some locations had less, get this, than 2 weeks worth of stock. Meanwhile, demand absolutely soared. You see, people were stuck at home, travel was restricted, and motorcycles, frankly, offered a thrilling solo escape. So, on top of that, you then had the rise of scarcity pricing. You see, dealers suddenly had leverage. And when you only have, say, 2 Harley-Davidson Pan America specials in a 200-mile radius, well, guess what, guys? You can absolutely name your price. ADM, once reserved for like exotic bikes, started showing up on Yamaha R7s, Honda Rebels, and even bikes like a Royal Enfield Meteor. I personally found a listing in late 2021 where the Rebel 500, which had an MSRP of $6,499, was being sold for almost $9,000 after fees. That is a 38% increase on a budget beginner bike. And guess what, guys? People paid it because they didn't have a choice. So then you fast forward to the real problem. It didn't actually stop. Even as supply chains normalized in late 2023 and 2024, dealers didn't revert to pre-COVID pricing structures because, well, why would they? You see, the market had accepted this markup. Dealerships realized that customers had been trained to expect the sticker shock, and many would still close the deals if it meant walking out, well, with a bike today. Let's get brutally honest about where this money is actually going. So when you pay a markup, when you fork over, say, $1,500 for a freight fee or $3,000 for an ADM, see, you're not getting a better bike. You are padding the dealership's profit margin, and this isn't really about greed. See, it's actually just about margins. motorcycle dealerships, especially like the mom and pop ones, operate on a absolute razor thin net profit from the sale of a bike alone. So let's dive into some actual numbers around this. So according to a 2023 report by Powersports Business Magazine, the average net profit per motorcycle sold before markups and add-ons is actually less than 6%. So say on a $12,000 bike, the dealership might only take away like $600 or $700 in margin from the sale itself. Now you add on a $2,000 ADM or additional dealer markup, and suddenly that sale brings it up to $2,600 in gross profit, and much more if you also sign up for extended warranty, gap, insurance, or in-house financing. And that's where this gets much more layered. You see, sales and commission and incentives. You see, salespeople in most motorcycle dealerships are actually incentivized to push markups and extras. Many of them earn a base hourly rate. Sometimes it's actually close to minimum wage, with commissions coming from aftermarket accessories, warranty and protection plans, in-house financing, markup retention, and get this, guys, there are even bonuses tied to profit per unit sold at some chains. One Reddit user claiming to be a former sales manager at a large multi-brand dealership in Texas stated, and I quote, "We were trained to always start with the full ADM. If a customer didn't push back, that was the extra commission for us. If they did, then we'd knock the price down and still look like heroes." So this markup, guys, isn't accidental. It's strategically built into the sales culture itself. So one thing I want to talk about is where the money doesn't go. So here's what is critical. None of this markup goes to the manufacturer itself. OEMs like Honda, Kawasaki, Triumph, and Harley-Davidson do not see a dime of this markup. They get their wholesale cost, the dealer gets their margin, and any additional profit is the dealership's alone, which leads to kind of a weird dynamic. So the manufacturer wants pricing consistency. The dealer wants profit maximization. The consumer is caught somewhere in the middle. So Harley-Davidson even tried to crack down on excessive dealer markups in 2022, threatening to withhold future inventory from dealers who overcharged. But enforcement on this is spotty at best. So let's talk about legality, because a lot of buyers are thinking this has to be illegal, right? Unfortunately, no. It's not illegal to sell a bike above MSRP. MSRP is, again, a suggestion. The Federal Trade Commission, or the FTC, only regulates unfair or deceptive practices, not the pricing themselves. That means that dealers are legally allowed to charge things like ADM, marked up warranties, pre-installed accessories, mandatory service plans, as long, and this is the trick, as they disclose them clearly. But here's the rub. Most dealerships don't. See, the FTC's Motor Vehicles Dealer Trade Regulation Rule, proposed in 2022 and is still under review in 2025, seeks to actually address this. So, according to the FTC's own summary, the rule would require dealerships to actually disclose the full actual price of a vehicle, inclusive of all of the add-ons, before any negotiation occurs. This could absolutely transform the car industry, which is largely what this regulation is about, but it wouldn't currently apply to motorcycles because motorcycles oftentimes fall into this weird gray area. So what about state laws? Some states do offer consumer protection, but here's the thing, they vary wildly. So California, where I live, has some of the strongest, and dealers are actually required to disclose all non-government fees, provide a written breakdown of optional items, not represent optional items as mandatory. But here's the trick. That doesn't stop many California dealers from tacking on $2K to $4K in fees. Why? Because enforcement is minimal and because most customers don't actually know their rights. Other states like Florida, Texas, and Arizona allow dealers to basically write anything on the invoice as long as they don't outright lie. Here's what this means to you. Unless you know what to ask and unless you get everything in writing up front, which is a pro tactic, by the way, you're walking into a legal but predatory setup. And again, this isn't illegal. It's kind of just the game. All right, let's get into what you can do. So this section, I wish, honestly, someone gave me years ago. Real, actionable steps that'll save you thousands and possibly even prevent buyer's remorse entirely. So number one, always ask for an out the door quote in writing first. Before you ever step foot in the dealership, email them and say, I'm interested in whatever year, make, and model of motorcycle you're after, and could you please send me a full out the door quote, including all taxes, fees, freight, setup, and mandatory add-ons. This actually forces transparency, and pro tip, the good dealerships will do this, and it removes any emotional sales tactic from the equation. A good dealership will respond with the full breakdown. A bad one will dodge you and try to get you to come into the store first. And that basically, guys, tells you all that you need to know. Also, make sure you get a line item quote, not just the final number, and certainly not your monthly payment. That's where you'll spot hidden ADM or markup disguises like a quote, market adjustment fee. Number 2, shop multiple dealers, including even out of state. So we live in a connected world, guys. There is no reason at all that you should limit your search to your specific zip code. Use CycleTrader, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, or manufacturer websites to compare pricing across your region or even neighboring states. For example, I've seen a Yamaha MT-09 listed for $10,999 plus $2,800 in fees in LA, while the same bike was selling for $10,299 out the door just 6 hours away in Reno, Nevada. Is a day trip or $400 shipping worth saving over $2,000 for most people? Yes. Bonus tip, states like Oregon and Montana often have lower sales tax or none at all for out-of-state buyers, but double check your registration rules in your home state. Number 3, get pre-approved financing before you walk in. So here's a dirty little secret. Dealers make money off of your loan. They oftentimes partner with lenders and get what's called a quote dealer reserve, and that's basically a cut of the interest. So when they offer 7.99% financing, but your credit union offers 4.25%, guess which one they're going to push for? Get pre-approved from your local bank or credit union, then bring that rate with you. 2 things happen. They know that you're not dependent on their terms, and they suddenly are more willing to negotiate the price to close the deal. Then number 4, time your purchase strategically. You see, in the motorcycle industry, timing is everything. End of the month, salespeople have quotas. End of the quarter, managers want to hit volume bonuses. Winter months, bikes aren't moving and inventory is sitting. So if you can wait until December, January, or February, you might save thousands of dollars just by showing up when no one else is. And if a model year is ending, say a dealer still has a leftover 2024s in stock, when the 2025s arrive, they're under pressure to clear those out. Number 5, use manufacturer freight data against the dealership. See, brands like Kawasaki, Triumph, and Honda actually publish their freight and destination fees on their website. So if a dealer quotes you, say, $1,200 for freight, but the OEM says it's $595, call them out, guys. Even if you don't win the battle outright, it shows that you're informed, and oftentimes that changes the dynamic. You're no longer a, quote, retail customer, you're a sharp buyer. And then number 6, always ask, is this mandatory? One simple phrase can save you hundreds of dollars. If it's not a government fee like sales tax, DMV registration, or tire disposal, oftentimes it's negotiable. You see, dealers use wording like pre-installed or included to make fees seem locked in, but in many cases, they'll just waive or reduce them if they think the sale is at risk. You don't have to be confrontational. Just say, hey, appreciate you guys walking me through everything, but if this low jack system is optional, I'd actually prefer to pass. Most dealerships would rather lose $600 in markup than lose the sale entirely. So here's the truth, guys. We're not going to stop markups by yelling at dealerships. They're businesses, and businesses respond to consumer behavior. If enough of us walk away from shady practices, if we reward fair dealers, post honest reviews, and share transparent pricing publicly, we shift the market. See, that's already starting to happen. Companies like Zero Motorcycles have been piloting direct-to-consumer sales in certain states. Royal Enfield began implementing flat pricing at select dealerships, and Harley-Davidson has been pushing dealers to avoid markups on select new models, though enforcement is still weak. But the bottom line is this: we vote with our wallets. If you want the industry to change, you don't need to fight it. You just need to shop smarter. So if you've ever been hit with a crazy markup or walked away from a dealer that felt shady, tell me about it in the comments. I would love to collect those stories and maybe even do a follow-up video featuring the worst offenders. And if you did get a great deal, shout out the dealership guys. Let's shine a spotlight on the ones that are doing it right. Subscribe if this kind of content is helping you, because coming up next, we're releasing all kinds of videos just like this. And remember guys, there are two kinds of riders: those who do their homework and those who pay the markup. Thanks for watching. Till we meet again. Peace.